Hello, my name is Vicky Butterfly and I'm an international performer. I'm talking about some of my inspirations, and in this episode I'd like to talk a bit about Charlotte CHARKE. I think when lots of people talk about burlesque and historical burlesque and the history of burlesque, it often comes back to Lydia Thompson, who's often seen as the popularizer of burlesque and also as an independent businesswoman. She is by some considered sort of ground zero, as often are artists like Eliza Vestris, who was a cross-dressing travesty performer, they were called. They burlesqued men's routines, Burlington Bertie, all of those, and also noticeable as being actor managers, having some measure of control over money, careers, business, that was quite rare for women of that era. I think Charlotte CHARKE's very important because she does precede these women by quite a number of years and also had some very interesting firsts of her own. She came from quite illustrious stock. The statue of Charles II in Soho Square was actually made by her grandfather. Her father was Colley Cibber, the dramatist, who was satirised in Pope's Dunciad. He was the poet laureate and he was not very popular. But she became an actress, famous mostly for breeches parts, the travesty roles. And in addition to being she managed her own company, which women didn't at that time. I think she was the first woman to manage her own theatrical company. And at that time, that kind of thing was quite hard because you still had licensed theatres. You had to have a royal dispensation to have a company, a theatre. Otherwise, it was low theatre. There were certain things you couldn't put on, like you couldn't do Shakespeare if you didn't have if you weren't doing excerpts from Shakespeare and had some jugglers to make it lighter. Serious drama belonged in serious theatres, and as well as the satirical roles she was famous for, like Polly Peachum in Beggar's Opera, she was also the first woman to play Hamlet in a not satirical fashion. So I think, as well as living a lot of the time actually dressed as a man because she found it very, very freeing, but there aren't really. Her sexuality has never been substantiated or denied. She was married. She had children, she liked to wear trousers, and she apparently made a very good Hamlet. And I'm not sure an influence or an inspiration, but she is I think she's important to me, as are so many independent female artists. She was true to herself, she was successful, and she was a strong woman living in a man's world. There is a rather good book written about her life. I think if I met her today, I'd probably just want to shake her hand and say thank you for paving the way for more women to have more control over what they do artistically.